everybody, I am with Diane and Miranda Kennedy at Finch Frolic Garden in Fallbrook, which is in North San Diego County, and they are going to give me a tour of their permaculture food forest. Why don't you guys tell everyone what you do here?
Okay, Miranda and I give educational tours through our 1.5-acre food forest. Food forest is a collection of plants that are arranged in ways where they require no fertilizer, no pesticide, no herbicide, and very, very low water use, which is very important here in Southern California. We give tours the third Sunday of every month from March through November, and it's November right now, so we're in the last month of our tours for this year.
It gets a little bit rainy after that.
Yeah, and we do some big projects and we just relax a little bit.
And you were saying, didn't you say that this food forest feeds you guys?
Yeah, we have a number of different types of food trees in the forest, and we also have a vegetable patch, so we gear it towards whatever we like.
And what about birds? You said something about...
Oh yes. So it's one of the marvelous things about a food forest is that because there's lack of chemicals, we have habitat as well. We plant a lot of native plants. So Miranda's identified over 97 species of birds on our property, over 47 species of moth, over 47 species of butterfly,
oh my
lizards, frogs,
tons of things,
everything.
More all the time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. How long have you been doing this?
I've been a lifelong gardener, but the garden is only 8 years old. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I look forward to a great tour.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, come on, let's go into the garden.
All right.
This is what the garden looked like from about here down in February 1st, 2011 when we started this project.
Just like nothing except a few, what kind of trees are those?
Palm trees.
Yeah, these
Palm
are
trees.
Washingtonia robustas. The previous owners had planted over 100 of them here. They're pretty much weeds. This was in a whole erosion area, so everything that you're seeing is 8 years old or less, and was all put in with no additional amendment in the soil and very, very low water use.
This is Australian tea tree, and it's really pretty when it blooms, but right now it's overgrowing the driveway because we're going to use it to make wreaths for the holidays.
Miranda graduated from Oregon State 5 years ago with the Fisheries and Wildlife Department, focusing on wild birds and wildlife conservation, and she's kind of an expert in native insects and native plants, so she's looking up the tea tree right now.
Any luck?
It is the same genus, but I don't think it's the one that everybody uses for tea tree oil.
Okay, cool. All right.
This is the formal entranceway to Finch Frolic. A big part of permaculture is repurposing and recycling. In fact, it's a major portion of it. So when we started this project, we had old sheds on the property, and all of them were taken down, and all of them were reused as much as possible back on the property. So we have all the wood that you see came from the old sheds. All the old palm trees were used as supports, retaining walls, stairs in the soil. Corrugated aluminum were used over the top of bridges. So it's a wonderful thing that you can take something down and not feel guilty about it because you can repurpose it right back in your garden again.
And I see a lot of bamboo. Why don't you tell me about what you're doing with bamboo?
Okay, so this bamboo is a clumping type of bamboo, which means it's not going to take over the whole garden. Bamboo is very useful because it's a tall grass. It helps shade an area very quickly. After it's mature, it really doesn't take that much water. It's not a very, very thirsty plant. This is a timber type bamboo, so we have bridges made out of it. It's also an edible type of bamboo, so Miranda has taken out some of the sprouts and peeled them and boiled them, and we've eaten them, and they're just amazing. It also drops a lot of leaves, which is excellent for the soil. It's a great place for little birds to hang out. Architecturally, it's lovely in the garden. So there's multiple reasons for having bamboo in your garden.
And a lot of people are concerned about controlling bamboo. What do you feel about that?
Well, that's because it's the two different types. So one's rhizomus, which spreads all over, and the other's clumping. So these are clumping. So they gradually move out from the middle, but very slowly and very controllably. The rhizomus ones shoot out everywhere, and then they pop up, and it's a nightmare to get rid of.
Okay.
So they're very different. Our tour is about 2 hours long, and we go into a lot of details about permaculture, how it works, and taking tips home that you can use at home. So what we're going to do now is just give you some of the highlights of the garden. This is the tropical area of the property. It's the top of the property, so that's where frost rolls past it. So these are frost-sensitive plants. These are plants that are arranged in ways where they will actually help each other grow. So we have a mixture of food-producing plants, which are vegetables, fruit, nuts, medicinal plants, native plants, which are very important, ornamentals, all grouped in ways where they're helping each other grow with very low water use. The sheet mulch is a layer of cardboard right on top of the grass, and with a layer of mulch right on top of it. And what that does is lock in moisture and prevent the compaction of the soil and prevent the weeds from coming up.
This is Buddha's hand or Buddha's finger, and it's a type of citrus that smells very lemony, but it's more perfumey. So it's used as a zest, but also for perfuming a room. It's just a really fun sort of fruit.
How did it get that weird shape?
It just naturally grows that way.
And when do you harvest it?
This is when it's ripe right now.
So we could take that with us.
Yeah, it's a, you can use it for candying or for zesting. It has no juicy part inside. It's all peel and pith.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Come on this way. This is our nest.
They hop through, so they're always hunting in here, and lizards in here. So, but yeah, we've had birds nesting in and around the top of this before. So when I began this garden, there wasn't a big permaculture movement in San Diego County. So I got a whole bunch of books in the library, and I hired a landscape architect in town who I knew had an open mind, Roger Bodart. He did an excellent job designing the beginning garden for that. And then, of course, doing everything backwards in my life, like I always say. I then took my permaculture design certificate class and learned the things that I should have done. So when Miranda graduated from college, she and I have been working on this property, fixing things, changing things, watching how things grow, being absolutely amazed at the growth of this garden. We've consulted probably couple hundred at this point in the last 5 years. People are very concerned not only about water because it's this water scarcity and the drought, but also they really do want to get off the chemicals. They don't want to poison everything. And permaculture offers that solution. And it's all based on the way nature does things. So it's not a buy-in, there's not a lot of ingredients that you need to purchase or gimmicks that you have to go through. Permaculture is all based on matter-of-fact thing. You keep slapping your forehead going, of course that works. Okay, so this is one of the original Washingtonia robustas, palm trees, and when they're topped, they won't regrow because they're monocotyledonous. These were used structurally for the nest, which we call this. Miranda studied birding in college, so we had to, of course, build her a nest. And it's a destination spot for your garden, because your garden should always draw you out and lure you out. It's not just a place to work. So destination spots, and especially ones that are made up of all repurposed and recycled things that don't cost anything to put together and are easy to take down again, are amazing and very fun.
I love your leaf layers. Oh, grinding stones.
Yeah.
This looks exactly like it. I'm expecting if I brush it, it will have a,
We should do
a little
that.
grinding spot.
So this is our first rain catchment basin, because we capture water here. All the water that comes in from the other properties used to erode this whole property all the way down the middle, and now it comes in, it captures in this first rain catchment basin, which pacifies it, sinks it into the ground, and then it overflows into another one and another one and another one all the way through the property. 1 inch of rain on 1 acre in an hour is 27,154 gallons of water. So when we get our rains, which are often 2 inches in a day or so, we're collecting hundreds of thousands of gallons of water, and instead of eroding the property and taking silt down to the stream bed below. We're capturing it, sinking it, and also allowing things like, this very thirsty sycamore to grow over our split level house in 8 years. Actually, it did it over in 5 years with very minimal water. This is permaculture, is capturing water in the soil, directing water, and it's so important for dry lands because the water just hits, rolls off, or goes into drains and goes down into the ocean. But with swales, which are level bottom ditches that run perpendicular to the water flow, it pacifies that water, it spreads it, and it percolates it into the soil. And everything planted below it, all those roots just follow that water into the ground and break up that soil, hold that water, and then that water gradually moves through the soil, and then months later it might hit the stream beds, but it keeps those stream beds alive in the summertime instead of having the water roll on past, erode, silt up the stream beds, and then they're dry in the summertime. It's all about getting water in the ground. So this is a bridge that was made out of the old sheds that were on the property, the old wood, the old 2x6s, and then the corrugated aluminum. And when it does rain, we wait for about 40 minutes out here, and the water comes rushing down through the rain catchment, and we can hear the water on that. And for places where it's dry, that's really fun. So this is one of our native plants. It's a type of daisy, and it's gone to seed now. A lot of our native plants, they take a break in the summertime and go drought dormant. So they don't look as great unless you give them supplemental water, and a lot of them don't like that. But as soon as the winter rains start coming, they burst out in leaf and bloom, and they are gorgeous. What's so special about this pond is that it is unlined, which means that this area of the property we have slick anaerobic clay. And in permaculture, the problem is the solution. So what do you do with clay? Well, it holds water. So this is an unlined pond that is completely cleaned and aerated by the plants and the fish that are in it. We top it up with our well water, and also it's the ultimate destination of rainwater. This is a chemical-free pond. If you took a glass full of it, you'd see all the little daphne and scuds and all the little pond creatures in it. And because we have this clean water, the animals that are coming down to drink aren't getting a mouthful of chemicals. I think the high point of this pond was when a couple of our native western pond turtles showed up in here, and they live in here now, and the water isn't hurting their skin. We have all kinds of rare and endangered species that show up here, dragonflies that are on the watch lists. We've had exotic birds show up here that you don't usually see inland, like the merganser. And also this is evaporating, and the wind is taking this moisture across the rest of our property, and all the plants are holding on to that moisture and keeping the pollen viable too. This is all different types of scented geranium. They are fragrant plants that help cover the ground, help shade the ground, are great pollinator plants. You can cook with them, they're medicinal, you can chop them back and use that back on the soil. They're wonderful plants. Plant fragrant plants along your pathway, and then you always have aromatherapy. These propagate by taking a piece, sticking it in water, and they root, and then you put them right into the ground. This is the withy hide. Withy is British term for willow. So this is a living building. It's curly willow that I put sticks in the ground about 5 years ago, and I'm pleaching them. And pleaching is when you scrape the bark off of two different stems and bind them together, and they grow together. So all those sticks have become one living building. And it's a photographer's hide, so that photographers can stay in there and take photos of birds and not be seen. Benches there, and I talk about plant communication. This is a magnificent coastal live oak tree. that was here on the property. It's probably over 125 years old. This is part of the native area in permaculture. You always have your last zone is full of natives. Oak trees are home to over 300 species of insects and other animals. This is the area on the tour where people have a seat and we talk about plant communication and how the whole system works together to communicate. So plants communicate in many different ways, through scents that they release in the air, through mycorrhizal fungi in the soil, through ultraviolet light, and they do all this so that they can work in a community, because trees can't move, so they've got to communicate the things around them.
This whole thing is one passion fruit?
Yeah, all the vine all the way through. They can grow 20, 25 feet. This one I think has exceeded that. So they ripen and fall off. This is Passiflora edulis, the edible kind of self-fertile passion fruit.
Purple and white flowers.
These have purple and white flowers, yes. This is a Mexican bush sage. It's one of our ornamentals, but our ornamentals all help feed our pollinators with nectar and pollen.
This is a Mexican cream white guava. It's a nice tall tree, so it can have a little bit of canopy in the food forest, but it's an excellent food producer. Jams, fresh fruit, all sorts of good things like that. It's a tropical subtropical. This time of year is when it should be ripening, but this year has been particularly overcast, so the fruits are very small right now. So we might even get them ripening in spring because the shorter days mean less light and heat for them to ripen.
I work with the native plant restoration team for the Fallbrook Land Conservancy every Wednesday. I also price books for the Fallbrook Friends of the Library bookstore. So books and gardening,
Yeah.
great combination.
But between permaculture, running your garden, doing all that, you're a busy girl.
I am, and I go to college.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you'll come when you're in San Diego, Fallbrook area, and check out this amazing garden. Don't forget to like the videos, share them with your friends, and I want to give a shout out to my late bloomer fans, Beth Thurston and Sausen Baumi, who told me about this amazing place, and I came down, and I hope you will too when you're in the area. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this video, please watch these. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see you in the next video.